Hello. We are back on the channel. I know it's been a while. Last time we talked about The Flash. And we're back again with another DC movie. Sadly, it's kind of the same situation. DC is still struggling. And it's their own fault. At the end of the day, it is their own fault. But we're here to talk about Blue Beetle. Sadly, this is going to be another movie that actually is really good, but is not going to get the shine and respect that it needs. But we're here to talk about all the things we didn't like about this film. It's going to be a full spoiler review. And before we get into it, don't forget to like this, subscribe to the channel, share it. And I'm going to introduce my panelists up here. I'm going to start off with my boy Wally. Wally,
hey, what's up?
Let the people know where they can find you.
Pretty much the only place that you can find me is by listening to my podcast that I do with my my dad. It's called Panel Surfing. You can find that pretty much everywhere. We have an Instagram. It's Panel Surfing Pod. That's pretty much it.
All right. And Critical, let the people know where they can find you, man.
Yes, sir. You can find me at Critical's Blue Reviews on YouTube and on Instagram, and I guess X is no longer Twitter. So you can find me on
it's still Twitter to me, but
it's still Twitter. Okay.
It's still Twitter when you type it in Google. It still brings it up.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what's up. But you can find me on Twitter under Critical Blue Reviews. And so Twitter and Instagram.
All right. And we're going to talk about, like I said, the Blue Beetle movie. Now, the reason Wally is here, because he is a huge Blue Beetle fan. Like, no bullshit.
I'm a true Blue Beetle fan.
Yeah, die-hard Blue Beetle fan. As long as I've known him. I don't know how it's been like almost a decade now.
You probably can't see it, but all the shit behind me that I just like sat up all my number one issues. I even got the Cinemark popcorn bucket. I had to get it, the one that's shaped like the bug.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it is cool. It is super cool. I'll never. I bullied somebody at the movie theater to give me their button.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I love Blue Beetle, and I'm not even gonna be curt about it. I fucking love this movie. So
okay.
Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I love it.
Yep. Well, great. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I'm a big fan of the character. Blue Beetle. Now I know this was kind of a random movie when they announced that it was coming out, because originally it was supposed to be going to HBO Max, but then they said it was so good they upped the budget a little bit and they sent it to the theaters, which was also what they want to do with Supergirl, but they said, no, we're not going to do that. And I wish they would have, as much effort as they put into The Flash, I wish they would have put it's just like a tenth of that into this movie, because it seemed like they kind of just put this one out there. They barely promoted it, and then towards the end, once they realized The Flash wasn't.
I was gonna say they didn't promote it until they started getting
well. They kind of last minute tried to hype it up a little bit, and it's like, bullied online. Yeah, right. Because people on Twitter, what was it, the Blue Beetle Battalion? They were the ones trying to hype it up online, and eventually, James Gunn finally said something about it.
Oh, I guess I care. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. But the character, it's been around since the 50s, the 40s.
Depends on which version.
Well, I mean the original ones. It was originally
the 30s.
The 30. Okay, the 30s.
Yeah,
so
1939.
Okay, so different iterations. So it's a long-standing character. It's kind of like a low-tier Batman-ish type character.
It's more. I would say if you're going back to like his origins, he'd probably be more like the Phantom, right? Like the original Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
And then he becomes
Green Hornet.
Yeah, and then he becomes a Batman type character, a mix of like Spider-Man and Batman. Because Steve Ditko created the second version of the character, but just made him a wealthy billionaire. And then, of course, the current version, which is Iron Man-ish, Venom-ish, sort of.
Alien, yeah.
Sort more so than the other two. Sort of feels like its own character, or his own character, rather. At least initially.
Yeah. So initially going into this movie, it was a lot of the jokes where it's like, oh, it looks like a high budget Nickelodeon film. It looks very childish. It looks very kiddie, family friendly, and that was how the movie was marketed in a way. But actually watching the film, it definitely had a little more grit and edge to it, where I was like, no, this was intended for HBO Max and more of a somewhat adult audience. And I like that they kept that intensity slightly, throughout the movie with the language and some of the jokes and even some of the action and some of the deaths, I guess you could say, that happened in this film.
Some of the creative kills.
Yeah, creative kills and all of that. But overall, I know you enjoyed the film. Critica, how did you feel about the movie as a whole?
Well, I agree. I felt like it should have gotten the promotion that it needed. I did see a video where Sholo, is his name Sholo? Sholo.
Is it Zolo? I thought it was Zolo.
I think it's Jolo. Yeah.
Zolo. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, he was like basically saying because of the writer's strike, it's not going to get the publicity that is needed. Now, I don't know, which one is what. If he's trying to cover up the fact that the company is not doing what it was supposed to do, because it still has to come out regardless. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't understand why the writer's strike would hold that off. But when I saw the trailer, I definitely was interested. I enjoyed it to a certain point, and I'll save that for my dislikes. But I thought it was rivaling the first Iron Man. That's how much I enjoyed it. Then it reached a certain point, then it was like, okay, I started to fall off. Where I was with two other friends of mine, they really enjoyed it. One of my other friends gave it a 10 out of a 10. I was the indifferent on this one. So
okay. I told Wally this. I was getting sort of Iron Man 1 vibes. I was getting early MCU, like before they got bought by Disney vibes, where it was even though it had a budget, but it wasn't too big of a budget. It had like a certain grit to it and a little more maturity to it, even though it's a kid flying around in a armored suit and he's like butt naked every time he takes it off, shit like that. But it still had like a certain grit to it. I love all the real world stuff with his family and the all of that stuff, and it was done very well. And like I say, DC gets screwed again because it's another case where they have a really good movie, but due to circumstances and their own shooting themselves in the foot, it doesn't get the proper respect or proper, the propers that it deserved for a movie that is well done as this.
Right.
I would put this as like my third favorite out of the superhero movies that came out this year, especially in the past 2 years. This would probably be in the top 3 to top 5 in terms of just a solid production. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of nitpicks, and we can get more into that later. But overall, I thought it was great. The cast I thought was really good. Someone who I was worried about initially was George Lopez, but he did a really good job. He kept me consistently laughing throughout most of it. I liked him a lot. Mm-hmm. And the other supporting characters, like the parents and the grandma and the auntie, I thought they were handled all very well. And like I said, the acting for the most, Susan Sarandon, when she was first announced to be in the movie, I was like, okay, but she was fine. She was, kind of doing sort of like Jeff Bridges in the first Iron Man, but to a lesser degree, just here's a veteran actor here to kind of carry the weight for most of it. She's barely in the movie, so it's like she wasn't necessarily necessary, but she was fine in her role. She was cool. So
I call her Evil Hillary.
Yeah, Evil Hillary. Yeah. Super Karen. But I'm actually curious because I kind of, before we praise everything, I kind of want to get to some of the hated moments. And I'm going to hear what was some of the stuff that kind of made you indifferent on the film, Critical.
What really got me, like, I respected the family. I definitely give that a like. But once they stayed in the movie, I kind of felt like they took away from Blue Beetle. Now, I don't know if in the comic book is like that. I haven't read the Reyes comics. Maybe the family is really into his storyline like that. So if so, then I stand corrected. But for me watching it, it was just like I couldn't really see him develop on his own. Like, like the grandfather, the uncle was there, and I was like, well, how does he know so much? Like, I know he's a car mechanic, you know what I mean? But how did he, be able to, use chords, technology and stuff like that? And, so I was kind of confused on that. I was confused when the grandmother, first I was like, maybe they're going to drop the grandmother off with the aunt somewhere, or, at the gambling ring or play bingo or something. But when she had the Gatling gun, that just killed it. I was like, all right, I can't do this.
What?
Yeah, that's the best part. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like badass grandma.
Yo,
Grandma was in the
Grandma is not
streets.
picking up a Gatling gun. Grandma's not
She
picking up a
told-
Gatling gun.
She told you she got a pass, man. She was out them. She was in the streets of Mexico fighting against the
Yeah,
Federal-
she was a
the
revolutionary.
Federales. Yeah, she was a revolutionary. You
So that
didn't
gives
pick
her
up the
the super
subtext.
That gives her the super strength to pick up a Gatling gun. Is that
She got that. She got that old lady strength. She a Mexican. She got that old lady strength. She been working her whole life. She knows what she doing. She knows what she doing. That was kind of crazy though when she pulled out the Gatling gun because I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then she took the guards out. I was like, oh damn, okay, Grandma's about that life.
I would say this: the laugh she had at the end, that evil laugh, that was dope. When she shot everybody up, I was like, I give that a pass. I was like, I guess to get to this point, you need her to have the Gatling gun. But I said, you know what? All right, I'll deal with that. That laugh at the end when she took everybody out, that was dope. That was dope.
That was crazy. I like that they gave. I get what you're saying by them keeping the family in. I will say the fact that they kept the family in, but they still gave them all stuff to do. I was fine with it because they at least, the one sister was with the other. What's her name? Jennifer. That was her name, right?
Yeah, Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny with Ted Cord's daughter, and they were doing stuff, and then she had like a little action sequence. The fact that the mom was flying the ship at the end, and and the uncle, like I said, the uncle's the tech guy. Now he might be a little, he's overrated.
He's a backyard inventor.
Yeah, he's
like an anti-government, believes in conspiracy theories sort of situation.
Yeah, he's a slacker. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he was too over the top with his skills, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing going on with his character and the reason he knows how to work specifically Ted's stuff is because it's all jumbled together and made basically the same way. Like it's got all the similar problems or the same problems. It's all sort of just hodgepodge together to work in the moment.
Yeah, kind of half-assed tech.
Yeah, exactly. Like sort of like a half-assed, like did it one man built it sort of situation.
How much did you love this, Wally? I know you lost your mind when you saw yeah. I know you lost your mind when you saw the two costumes.
Yeah,
and all
goddamn.
that shit.
I mean, I was sold from the second I saw that in the trailer. So look, I'm not the best person to sit here and be like, man, I was critical about this and this. I'm like, the most I was critical about was the villains.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are the weakest part of the movie as a trio. Carapax, what is her name?
Victoria.
Victoria. She's only just become a character in the comics as of the last year.
Okay, so I was not familiar. Yeah, I was not familiar with,
at least to my knowledge, and someone else might be able to correct me on it. I don't keep up with literally everything that happens in the comics, but at least as far as I know, in the last year she was created. She didn't have like the best motivation as a villain, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I think her motivation was, I got cut off from my money for a couple of years, and now that I get to have my money again, I'm going to keep making weapons. And that was sort of it for her.
Yeah, Obadiah Stane, Iron Man 1 type shit,
Yeah, and then Carapax has a little bit more motivation, but you don't get it until the very last second of the movie.
Yeah, that was kind of. They waited a little too late to kind of give us a little more motivation, because it's actually pretty good. I wish they could have
we get some scenes where we clearly see that Victoria is manipulating him in some capacity,
right?
But
and I wasn't sure
we
if they
don't
were
know
a
to
couple
what
or
extent.
something. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
We don't know what he owes to her, other than like he's clearly got robot body parts and cybernetic enhancements, and she has given those to him, but we don't know for what reason. I mean, we know what reason. She says it, the OMAC project, but we don't know why he's going along with it until the very end. And the second that we learn that, he switches sides. So because he also gets reminded of his origin in that moment.
Right. It's the second he finds out is the moment where it's like 2 seconds later he's dead and he kills them both. I'm like, all right, well.
And then there's
much for that.
There's the third villain in Dr. Sanchez, Harvey Guillen's character.
Is that the fat guy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The guy who looks like me.
Yeah, you with the tan. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not necessarily a villain.
Right.
He's like he's a stooge essentially. He's an unwitting accomplice, but he doesn't stop any of it from happening. And there's a bunch of scenes where he's clearly uncomfortable with it, but he keeps pressing the buttons. He keeps just letting it happen. And like they set it up to make you think that like, oh, when they're stealing the code from the Scarab, and it's ticking up, and it's like, oh, 50%, 60%, whatever. And he's looking at her. You think he's going to stop before it gets to 100? No, he just let it get to 100. It's only after Jaime gets out of the thing that he's like, oh, now that someone else can help me get out of this room, I'm on that guy's side.
But he sacrificed himself though.
He does, and I don't care. They didn't make me care about his character.
Yeah, I didn't care either. Yeah, I didn't care either.
Another part too that got me with the Carapax, like why when he was a little kid, Victoria was so much older than him. Like they're like 8 years apart, the actors.
Really, in real life?
They're 8 years apart. Yeah, like
I didn't know that. I didn't know
she's
that.
like 76, he's like 68.
Oh, and, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so when he was a baby, I was like, not a baby, when he was a little kid.
Like a kid, yeah.
I was like, she was still grown. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, all right, I'm done.
Okay. See, I wasn't sure about the age range on that one, so I let it slide. But now knowing that they're only 8 years apart, yeah, that is weird. That they had him as like such a little 16. Kid.
She should have been like, had her little my Little Pony purse or something like that.
Yeah.
Take him in,
Yeah, she looked like she was maybe 30 when that was going down.
She looked like she looked like what she did in the scene prior to him. Right. Like, she looked the same as she did in 2023.
It was kind of slight. But okay, that's interesting. The one thing I did like about Carapax was his backstory, although we got it for like, a minute towards the end of the movie. Him being connected to the OMAC project, which is something I was not expecting. That's an old Jack Kirby character, and that is in a way tied into Blue Beetle because that's in the comics. That's the second version of the OMAC project, which was a kind of like Ultron in the Age of Ultron movie, but it was created by Batman, and it gets stolen by a villain. And Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, is the only one who notices that it's been, tampered with, and he gets shot in the head trying to expose the villain that took over the OMAC project, Maxwell Lord, aka Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 1984. So he's already dead. So if we're gonna connect this, we can't quite do the Maxwell Lord story because he's locked up. He didn't die.
He didn't die. And I don't think he got locked up. They let him go.
No, he did. Yeah, Wonder Woman. Yeah, that movie was terrible. Wonder Woman let him go after torturing everybody with the magic stone. But anyway, the OMAC project.
Walk away.
Yeah. Anyway, he hugged his son and just walked away. Anyway, I remember now. Yeah, he's a good dad.
I was say remember his villain origin is that he wet the bed.
I don't remember that, but that probably was in the movie.
Yeah, that
probably was in the movie. I don't remember that, but that was probably in the movie.
Part of his origin was that he wet the bed, so his dad punished him for it. So that made him evil. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get more into Wonder Woman a little bit later, but yeah. So the OMAC shout out was pretty cool, and that is connected to Blue Beetle. So it was interesting how they tied that stuff into something that I wouldn't say hated, but one of my negatives was the beginning of the movie in terms of just getting to know the family. Like over the family I liked overall, but it was just the early parts of the movie where Jaime is hanging with the family and we're getting introduced to them. It was fine, but I wasn't enjoying the characters that much or enjoying all the jokes. But as it progressed, as it went on, I got to like the characters. I liked the dad, the mom, the sister, the grandma, and all of that. When the dad died, I actually cared about it because we actually got to know more about the character. I mean, first off, the family's struggling. He's had a heart attack. He's working hard. They're losing the house. We get the conversation with the uncle, George Lopez. He's like, yeah, your dad, he's been working his whole life and he got us into America. And I feel kind of like a loser because I wasn't carrying my load to kind of help out the family. Like we got to know stuff about the family. So when he died and then we saw his ghost talking to him, it felt emotional as opposed to the Flash where we get one scene with his mom singing in the kitchen and then 2 seconds later she's dead. And then I have to feel sorry about her by the end of the movie when he sees her again at the grocery store and I don't know anything about this woman. It's a little different. I don't know if that translated to any of you guys, but it just, to me, I felt more compassion about his dad dying because I actually knew who this guy was to a degree, as opposed to a random lady who just got killed 2 seconds after I saw her on screen. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So,
I had no connection with the father whatsoever. Like,
okay,
when he died, I was like, oh,
the man was getting beat up by the technically the police or you know the icon, you know the iconography that was going for, and then he has a heart attack, and then he dies, and his son can't do nothing because
and then they steal his son away from him, so he doesn't even get to be there when he dies.
When he died, like okay, I get that, like that shit. I was like, damn, I see what they're going for. Like I'm feeling things, like I said, as opposed to the Flash.
I also went to the restroom on the part where when his father was talking to him, so I missed all of that.
Oh my god! See, when the ghost was talking to him, when the ghost was talking to him,
I was like, oh
man, damn, okay, that's disrespectful. That's ridiculous.
I know, I was holding it. I had to think of a slow moment. I'm usually good at catching a slow moment in a movie to use the restroom. I think I went past this slow moment, and then I was like, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so let's get more into positive things. So obvious thing, the suit is dope.
Yeah,
the suit looks great.
Suit's incredible.
We knew that going into the movie, the suit was gonna look good, and then like seeing it on screen, whether it's CG or practical, shit looks dope. It's fucking amazing. I love that most of it was practical.
Yeah.
I love that most of it was practical, and it didn't look too bad. I mean, in a world where we got, the MCU where they CGIing everything and it looks terrible. Yeah, it's nice to see.
Jackson can't hold a gun.
Oh, did that happen in Secret Invasion?
No, that happened in Far From Home.
Oh, did it? Okay, that's another thing I didn't get to talk about. I was going to talk about it.
He wasn't in that hotel room. He wasn't even holding that gun. It was all CG.
Yeah, it looks good. Like I said, it's stuff we've seen before, but I mean the accuracy of the suit is
it's an incredible adaptation of that comic book suit. I mean, it does a great job of being comic accurate while doing its own thing. I mean, obviously, I hate the notion that it looks incredible if it is exactly torn from the pages, like no seams, no nothing. I don't think that's necessarily true for every character. I mean, some people would have Captain America running around in the suit that he wears in that USO show all the time,
Yeah.
And I'm like, it looks cool that they put him in it, but like, I don't know. I think this is an incredible version of the Blue Beetle suit. And I really hope if they do sequels or he shows up in other movies, I really hope they don't go the route of like, all right, well now it's changed a little bit so we can sell another toy.
I mean, that's what they're going to do. That's what
I know they're going to, but like, man, I don't want them to.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my things with the MCU. They'll nail it. Sometimes they'll nail the suit, and then the next movie it's worse. And I'm like,
we're never getting the final fling suit from No Way Home.
Yeah,
we're never seeing that again.
That suit's going to be gone in the first 5 minutes of the next movie. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, the Blue Beetle's been around in adaptation since it was created. They've been wanting to do something with this character, and they finally got around to doing it. It's just circumstances it didn't land. But this was back when he was on Smallville. I don't know if y'all remember that episode. He was on Smallville.
Like his head is backwards. Okay, never mind. I thought you edited like that where his head was turned around.
No. This is from no. This is the suit from Smallville. He looked like a sort of shitty Power Ranger.
Yeah. Fun episode.
He was on Suit was okay. Suit. Oh, there go Alex. Suit was okay. Now look at this. Look at this guy.
Hater.
Look at this hater right here. Suit was okay. Did you not see what we just, sir? Suit was okay. How was that Flash suit? That was okay too, right? It was actually. I didn't hate the Flash suit.
Yeah, it wasn't
as good as this. Wasn't good as this though.
No.
And I know that Batman suit wasn't as good as this either. That shit was ass. Critical look. Yeah, he's still getting you with the floating head. But yeah, but no, the suit was dope. Zolo, I liked him. I don't know if have you seen Cobra Kai? Any of y'all watched Cobra Kai?
Oh yeah,
oh
yeah.
Okay, yeah. When they casted him as Miguel, I was like, I mean, they casted him as Jaime, I was on board because his character on Cobra Kai is Miguel. It's straight up Miguel. Miguel on Cobra Kai is straight up Jaime, basically. So yeah, I got it backed up. But anyway, it was interesting because in the comics he's a teenager, right? Isn't he like still in high school? So yeah, so him
he's
being
like 16.
Yeah, so him being a little older, being 22, I was fine with that. That worked. He did the comedy stuff. He didn't, he wasn't as comical as he is in Cobra Kai, but he did good in the comedy roles. The stuff when he first gets possessed by the suit was pretty good.
Yeah.
And the family's reaction was the funniest though. With the, they're like, oh, he's being possessed, and he came back and he was butt ass naked and everything. That shit was funny. I like that shit. That shit was funny. Like I said, George Lopez had some good moments in this that kind of caught me off guard. And yeah, he was.
Yeah, great. I thought the entire family was one of the better parts of the movie. They do play a pretty pivotal role in the comics. The whole thing with Jaime in the comics has always been that, like, pretty much immediately after he gets his powers or returns home with his powers, anyhow, his family knows about it. They're in on the secret, which is like a subversion of most superhero media, and they're
he tells them immediately, sort of deal.
Well, he has no choice. In the comics, he goes missing for a year and comes back.
That's right.
Yeah, so he's just like, hey, this is why I was gone. You guys should know. So yeah, I mean, and the grandmother and Uncle Rudy are new additions to the family as it is. They're not even part of the comics.
Yeah,
they were just added in.
And he had his friend Paco. They didn't have him in the movie.
They didn't have Paco or Brenda. So I'm hoping that if they get a sequel, they show up in some capacity. They play a pretty big part in a lot of the earlier stories. Brenda especially, as her aunt is like the local crime lord of El Paso. So
yeah, okay. So yeah, that's another thing. El Paso. Yeah, they're from Texas in the comics, but in this they're
Palmera City.
Palmera City, which is cool. Florida. It's basically Florida. Like when you watch this, it's like a fictional Florida. I'm fine with that. That was cool.
Yeah, like a fictional Miami.
Yeah.
And
at first I was like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and they live in the edge keys of Palmera City.
Yeah,
on El Paso Street.
Yeah, on El Paso Street. Yeah, I saw that. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, good connection.
I see you doing that movie. Now, how did y'all feel about Jennifer? She was a completely new character.
Mm-hmm.
She is the half Brazilian daughter of Ted Kord, because Ted Kord has no family of kids in the comics. That's kind of part of his character. He's kind of like a loser, but in this one he had a family. Yeah. I mean, he is.
Yeah, he is.
It's on the little stabs in it. No, go ahead.
Yeah,
he is. That's what he is.
Okay.
But yeah,
I like her. Bruna. I cannot pronounce her last name.
Bruna
Marquezine?
Yeah, that sounds
something along those lines.
Something like that.
I apologize. I sound like a dumbass trying to pronounce.
Ringo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. But yeah, I thought she was great. Especially because there's no precedent for how this character should be.
Right.
And Ted's not in the movie, so.
Yeah, so need something. Yeah, I like the daughter and her, reassessing what her dad was doing and all of that. So it worked. Her as the love interest. It didn't seem too forced. I like that they held to the end for them to have the kiss and everything. It felt genuine by that point, and all of that. I liked her as a character. What did you feel about old Jennifer? Great.
I think she was, she had a cool. I think she was a cool character to kind of make the Scarab go from one place to the other. I wasn't feeling the love connection at all between them. I felt like I felt like it was rushed. I was just like, all right, it's most other movies you would probably almost get a kiss at the end. I knew they were going to do the whole thing where they get ready to kiss and somebody interrupts.
Yeah, somebody interrupts.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So I was just like, man, just let it happen at the end, and then somebody interrupt them when you finally think they're going to get the kiss, and then somebody just, hey, what's going on, But other than that, I thought she was cool. I didn't really. I think she made the story move somewhat.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the dynamic between her and her aunt. Them fighting. You know,
Yeah,
she says like, you kind
I
of
did
fucked
that
over
one.
the family stuff and all of that, and like, how you gonna treat me like this, and I'm your niece and all that. Like, it was stuff there.
Yeah.
Like I said, they could have gotten deeper into it, but you know, it's still sort of surface level. But it's, you know, it's cool. It's cool. Like I said, Phase 1 Marvel feeling type of film. So one thing I really did like was this director. What was his name?
Angel Manuel Soto. Or
Yeah, that's his name.
Angel
I like this after watching this film. I like this director. I hope James Gunn and Warner Brothers keeps him around, if not for DC, just for something in general, because he's got a good style. He's got a good flavor with the way he shot the action and the comedy and some of the quieter moments throughout the film. And I like the soundtrack where they had like sometimes they were like Spanish covers of like pop songs. Which was cool, you know. I was fine with that, you know. It was fine. I felt like I'm not. Yeah, soundtrack was cool. I'm not Latino. I don't think any of us on the panel is, but I thought the representation was good for the most part. I had no issues with it. Similar to like with Spider-Verse when they had like the you know, them speaking Spanish at times, and you know, people was enjoying it. So, and I think that's going to be good with this film as well.
I like when the Scarab was speaking Spanish. That was funny.
Yeah, towards the end.
Voiced by Becky G.
I don't know who that is. I know the name. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she does. I remember she was in the Power Rangers movie. She played the Yellow Ranger. I don't know what she does. I just know she's tiny. That's all I know. So
she is.
She's in the movie. Congratulations. But yeah, she was dope. Now, one thing we got towards the end, we kept hearing about Ted Kord, who was the second Blue Beetle. Oh, one thing I do want to mention is very nerdy. When they was in the ship and they had the little swing down handlebar thing.
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, just the inclusion of it.
Yeah, that's the thing from the comics. It's just a weird, like when he drops out of the ship, he usually hangs from this little handlebar.
It's like a little crossbar sort of thing.
Yeah. So when they included that, I thought that was kind of neat that they had that as well. So you know, it was cool. But
you get to see earlier in the movie, you get to see like a newspaper clipping of him swinging from
it. Yeah. That was neat. I was like, okay, they got a lot of little good shit in here. Mm-hmm. One of the things we get the Ted Kord shout out at the end. Now, how did you feel about that, Wally? The fact that we acknowledged him, but we didn't.
I mean, we didn't see him, but he was speaking to us. And like obviously it's Jason Sudeikis, but whatever. He's not.
Is that credited. Who did the voice?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident he was on the cast, and then he was suddenly not on the cast anymore.
Okay.
But then they show that painting of him earlier in the film, and it's obviously Jason Sudeikis.
It kind of looked like him, but you know, she was an impressionist artist.
It could be anybody, obviously, based on that painting, but it's like he was attached to this film at one point. Early in production, and then was suddenly not. Whether or not that means that when things got changed up, they were like, "Oh, we don't know if we're going to continue with this or whatever have you." Yeah, I'm hype as hell, and the world is not prepared for the kind of person I will be if that movie gets made. Like, they're just not. I mean, I don't care. Because they're doing the Booster Gold series on HBO Max. Who knows if this is going to be worked into that somehow? That could be why James Gunn. I know James Gunn's not necessarily writing that, but this scene in this movie could be why James Gunn's like, well, we should keep this movie as part of the DCU because I do like the idea of Ted Kord showing up in Booster Gold. He's clearly a JLE fan or JLI fan because he's got Guy Gardner showing up in Superman.
Yeah, the Superman. All right, so coming to the stage, number one Blue Beetle hater. It's Alex, baby. What's going on? What's going on, baby? How you doing?
What's the word?
Yo, Brogi, go to hell. You can go straight to hell.
How's it going down there in sunny Florida, man?
It's going good. I'm actually on my way to the studio to hop in. I just wanted to hop in real quick before y'all got offline. But I was watching some of the live, and I'm actually really interested in this conversation. So where do you want me to pick up from?
Anywhere. Just give a quick thoughts. Anywhere. Things you like. Oh, you know what? Since we did what was some of the things you didn't care for in the film, if anything?
I noticed that some of the blatant humor, like the stuff that was that was obviously a joke, wasn't really all that funny.
Yeah, okay. I had that.
But I like the sneak diss humor, especially with the scarab, like the scarab saying different types of stuff to Jaime, basically calling him a bitch for being so scary.
It did happen, yes. That was good stuff.
And then the stuff with George Lopez, every time I seen him on screen, I was laughing because I was like, this dude is just naturally funny.
Yeah.
But the stuff I didn't care for, I didn't really care for the like I said, most of the obvious humor. I didn't care. Like, I know that they were harking back to the Ted Kord stuff because he's the original. I just wish they would have. I think they should have started off the movie with Ted Kord as Blue Beetle,
like a flashback.
Yeah, like a flashback, and then see where the Scarab ends, because we didn't really get much backstory of how the Scarab was created and what was the motivation of why it was created. Because if you remember in the comics, like, there's multiple Scarabs. There's a black Scarab. There's a green Scarab. There's a red one. You know,
in the intro, they did show different Scarabs flying through the sky, but yeah, they should have had like some dialogue to kind of hammer home that there are other Scarabs, because in the intro of the film, they did kind of have them sort of floating through the sky, like Power Rangers.
That worked really well for Green Lantern. Yeah, they should have done that.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I know we saw like a slight origin in a sense, but like I wish they could have told like more, give it a little bit more detail, because the people who saw this movie are the people who know who Blue Beetle is, and the people who didn't see this movie, you know, I would say they don't know who Blue Beetle is, and also because they didn't like anything that DC has put out in the last few movies. But overall,
I agree with that.
I feel like they should have given more explanation. Another thing I didn't like, which is like a small pet peeve, I like the action scenes, but you could tell right off the bat, like, some of the CGI in there was kind of not done all the way. But
like, towards the end, definitely,
yeah, that was just like a small criticism. But overall, I had fun watching this movie. This is I will say this is my favorite DC movie that has come out of all the rest that have come out this year.
I agree with that. That's not hard to do, but I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. That I feel the same way. It's number 3 in terms of superhero films that I've seen this year. Like I said, I haven't seen Turtles yet. But yeah, overall, it's a solid film. I know you said you wasn't like, they probably shouldn't make this movie. So do you still feel that same way, or you're just like, it is what it is type deal? Or
I mean, the box office kind of reflected that, bro.
Yeah.
Because like, here's the thing. This movie would have done well if the actors were not on strike. That's number one. If the writers weren't on strike, and also if Blue Beetle was a more familiar character. The reason why Black Adam didn't do so well is not just because it wasn't all that great, and it's not just because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in it. If you have never played Injustice or read a Shazam comic book or watched the animated series, you're not gonna watch the Black Adam movie. I don't care who's the star, and it reflected in that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And like, here's the thing: The Flash was a really good movie, right? The Flash is a notable character.
Astrid.
He's been on TV for the last 9 years. Plus, we have a backlog of him in animated shows and things of that nature. So for that movie to fail, it had a lot to do with, I believe it personally, a lot of Ezra stuff, but also with the fact that people are not really cool with DC because of the track record that they've had. I think Flash should have done much better than Black Adam, and ironically it didn't, which is very odd. But
yeah, that is crazy.
But my thing is with Blue Beetle, it is a fun movie, but casting Sholo as Jaime, I think, was brilliant. But keep in mind, like, even though Cobra Kai is a really dope Netflix series, it is not a big enough Netflix series for Sholo to lead Blue Beetle, where all of the Cobra Kai fans are going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to watch Sholo and Blue Beetle." Clearly, that was not reflected in the box office. So for me, I think they should have kept it on HBO Max. At least they would have kept a less of a hit, in terms of the box office, because it would have been a straight to HBO Max movie like they were going to do with Batgirl. But me personally, I'm glad it did come out in theaters because it was a pretty good movie. But like I said, like nobody who's not a DC movie, like again, if you have not read Teen Titans, watched Young Justice, or read a Blue Beetle comic book from the Ted Cord all the way down to Jaime, you're not going to watch this movie. And unfortunately, it reflected in that way.
Yeah, I kind of agree with majority of what you're saying. Derpy, what's up, man? You just got out of it. What you think about it? Let me know. Let me know. You about to hop in the studio? I'm gonna let you go and
Okay.
hop back in if you want to.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Oh shit! My bad.
Okay.
My bad. My bad. Oh, now he's gone. All right, now he's gone. All right, shit. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, he was dropping some good points. Most of that I can, that's measured. I can agree with that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, I didn't know when Brandon was explaining. I didn't know that was Ted Cord at the end, because he was almost like he was talking to the person. He was talking in third person, like he was saying that this person was alive. So I thought it was Booster Gold. The shit.
Okay.
Gold.
I mean,
it could have been too.
Yeah, it still can be.
Yeah, they could.
Okay.
But he said, he said, although he did say Ted Cord at the end, but like
he said Ted Cord's alive. He said someone turned on my computer, so I don't think you can retcon that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, just let my daughter know I'm alive. I love her. Ted Cord is alive. So
okay.
So
it's self-explanatory there. So
yeah. I mean, it was cool, but it was very non-committal because I was surprised they didn't put a
they're not gonna follow up on that.
Yeah, I get it though. It's like
they'll
leave it open-ended, which is cool. So we can get into let me do this first. MVP of the movie. Crit, who was your MVP of the Blue Beetle movie?
My MVP of the Blue Beetle movie, I would have to say, I'm gonna have to go with Rudy. Rudy, when the parts were slow, he kept us laughing. Now, like I said before, I felt like they should have given him more information on why we think he's so tech savvy. I understand he's good with hooking up wires together, but let's say he worked for NASA and quit or something. You know what I mean? And he got his own job.
Yeah.
Something to where he had a high level type of tech job or something, and he just left it. But but I have to definitely say, Rudy. I'll say my second person, the person that I did find a relationship closer with Reyes, I would have to say his sister. I like that brother-sister relationship. She was getting on his nerves, quick to embarrass him, you know what I'm saying? And then at the end, showed her love for him. Like she was like, hey, hit him. It was like, yo, I thought I lost you. Now that was dope to me. So she will get the second runner up to me.
Okay, yeah, I liked her too. I thought I had seen her in something else, and I looked in her IMDb. I had not seen her in anything. Maybe she just reminds me of somebody I've seen in real life. But yeah, like I said, she was one of those characters early on was kind of shaky for me, but as it went on, she definitely grew on me. Derby says I thought it was pretty decent for a standalone origin story that's not canon besides the character and overall that I don't Gunn doesn't recast this entire cast. I thought it was fun and better than usual. Yeah. I agree too. And we'll get into James Gunn and his what he's been talking about recently. Wally, who was your MVP of the movie? Don't fuck around.
You already know who my favorite character in this movie was. I'll tell you what. It was Ted Cord, of course.
Ted Cord.
Ted Cord's my favorite character.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was either him or that green bull from Multiverse of Madness, probably.
That's crazy. We got a whole movie with a Mexican family.
No.
And his
Yeah, I
favorite
picked the
character
one
is
white guy who
the
wasn't on
white
screen
guy
once.
won't even on screen. That's crazy.
Man, that distortion
No.
was amazing. That distortion was amazing, man.
He looked great. He looked great. He sounded great. He looking healthy, and I really like the respect that they gave to him. You know, they gave him as much screen time as I think that character deserved.
Right. Give him a little screen time. You don't want it to be overcrowded with with the others.
You know, I mean, because he would totally outshine everybody if he was given any real screen time, and they know that. No. Jolo as Jaime is absolutely the standout star in this film. I think he really carries the film. I think he's the perfect casting for that character. Whether or not you see, I've never watched Cobra Kai. I didn't go see this movie because of him being cast in Cobra Kai or being cast in this. But the second that they announced it, I was like, yeah, that's fucking Jaime. Easily. There is no one better.
Like I said, his character in Cobra Kai is straight up Jaime Reyes. It's straight up is. Yeah, it really is. It's crazy how much it is.
I mean, I think he killed the role. He brings the heart that character has. He brings the love for his family that character has. I genuinely think he is the best part of this movie, and I hope, if nothing else, from this movie, he gets carried over into the DCU, and we get to see more of him in whatever capacity. I've said it about a dozen times on my podcast. I've said it a few times here in videos with you that, like, of all of the Blue Beetles that you could make a movie about, Jaime is the only one who's deserving of a movie. I love Ted Kord. Ted Kord's my favorite. I'm wearing my Ted Kord shirt. I love Ted Kord. But, like, you know, we don't need another white dude in a costume. We didn't need that story. Jaime's more interesting, and they should have.
Do you remember that it was a couple days on Twitter where people was fake mad, and they were like, we weren't
doing Dan Garrett.
We want a Dan Garrett movie.
Fuck up. You want Dan Garrett? Get the hell out of here. Nobody wanted Dan Garrett. That's why he did 6 comic books and then they killed him off.
Oh man.
That's not true. I mean, people really love Dan Garrett. I'm not going to minimize Dan Garrett's, popularity. I mean, he was one of the first superheroes to have media outside of comic books in a radio show.
Show.
So he was extremely popular, but, like, nobody now wants Dan Garrett in anything.
Alex, who was your MVP of the movie?
That burp. Okay.
Good popcorn.
I love that guy.
Oh wow. I would have. There's two. Obviously, the main character Sholo. Sholo, I think, did a really good job playing Jaime. I think, if you ever watch, like, what I keep thinking of Jaime as this little kid who's such a jerk, like an asshole, in a sense, but also he's also, like, very worried about what the Scarab is going to do. And I think Sholo was a blend between what we saw in comics and then also what we've seen in animated TV. So Sholo did a really good job playing Jaime. My other MVP is George Lopez. I think that guy, if they do bring him back in the James Gunn's DC, they need to bring back George Lopez and Jaime. I agree. I will say though, I enjoyed the whole family. I mean, I'm not Latino, but I will say this: I noticed that the core element of this whole movie was family, and I really enjoyed those dynamics. But my 2 favorite characters out of the whole movie were Lopez and Sholo, because their banter between one another. Their interactions with one another, their interactions with their family members, it was just amazing. That's why I hope, I know this movie unfortunately won't do financially well to warrant maybe a sequel, but if they bring him back for an actual real live action Titans movie, not that bullshit Titans show, or bring him back for like a Justice League crossover or something, I would be okay with that, or even bring him as a cameo in Superman Legacy, since there's other characters that are going to
Other
be in the movie
characters,
as
yeah.
well.
Or have him feature heavily in Booster Gold, especially if Ted Cord plays any part in that.
Yeah, but I will say my only criticism with that, like Booster Gold, though,
it
is
stops
like
being Booster Gold's series. The more people you add,
yeah. If you do that, and then not only that, like I kind of feel like Booster Gold is is DC's Deadpool.
He could be, to a degree.
Like
in a way,
he's not as violent as Deadpool, but he's just an asshole.
But Deadpool, I think Booster Gold's like a fuck up, right?
Yeah.
But
he doesn't give a damn that he fucks up though. It's like, oh, bummer.
He's a poser, like a poser.
He's basically A-Train from the boys, but like less violent.
Less of a sociopath.
Less of a sociopath. But that's pretty much what Booster Gold is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like A-Train from the boys. But for me, MVP, I agree with y'all. I'm gonna give it to Zolo and George Lopez. They were great. Like I said, George Lopez was working. His jokes really did work for me, and Zolo's just fucking great. And it was good to see him in a leading role, and holding that shit down. Hopefully, his career will be great as it goes on. But let's talk about what's next. And I just want to talk about James Gunn and James Gunn versus the World. Mm-hmm. I would say it earlier. I'm big on the James Gunn train, but in recent days and months and stuff, I'm getting a little worried about what his direction for DC is going to be. Not necessarily because I don't trust in him. It's what it's always been. Is I just don't trust Warner Brothers to make good decisions. And James Gunn kind of has to tiptoe and dance around their fuck ups, and certain things he wants to do or says he wants to do, he can't do, or certain things he says he's going to do, he ain't going to do type shit. Like recently, the big debacle with the whole Wonder Woman thing, whereas, Gal Gadot's like, well, I'm doing Wonder Woman 3, and then not James Gunn, but like reports are like, well, maybe she's not doing Wonder Woman 3. What is she talking about? Is she making it up? It's just a little, shakiness going on. What are y'all thinking about the state of DC now with the movies not doing well? They got delays. We don't know what's going on with Aquaman 2. We're still waiting. The strike is holding up castings. How y'all feeling about it? I'm gonna start with Wally.
All right, cool. Because I gotta go in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's why I'm starting with you.
Man, it's hard to get a. It's hard to read James Gunn in general, but I mean, he's got a fucking killer track record. Just in general, I think if anything, he wants what's best for these characters. He wants what's best for fans. I know some fans don't feel that way because some fans are very tied down to what has already come before it. But I don't disagree that like a new start is. I think it's a good idea. Ultimately, there's so much shit and it's so muddled at this point. Unfortunately, we're not getting like a clean start, are we? We're still we maybe still have Ezra. Who knows? Probably not.
Yeah,
but
not.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't think Gal Gadot is coming back. I think I believe those reports that are basically saying she misinterpreted what Gunn and Safran probably said. Like, we'll work together again in the future, probably. And she was like, "Oh, that means a third movie." I think that I genuinely believe that is what happened. It's hard to say. I have hope, but like I am wary because Warner Brothers has a track record of stepping in when things aren't looking their way, and things are certainly not looking their way financially, at least not recently. And Zaslav doesn't seem to like losing money, although he's caused the company to hemorrhage so much money. So who knows? I'm hopeful, but I'm weary.
Yeah. Crit, how you feeling about the future of DC?
And with that, I'm actually going to head out. But it's been
Show the shirt one more time. Show the shirt one more time. Good.
Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle. I got the button. I got the comics. He's right behind me. He's on the wall there.
Yeah, he's got all the 80s, the Ted Cord run.
I own 3 issues or 3 copies of every issue.
Yeah.
Oh
For
wow.
no
Super
reason.
fan. He's a super fan.
No,
He's
that's
a Blue
just,
Beetle.
that's
Super
me just forgetting that I own them and buying new copies. No? so I just own 3 copies of basically every.
Wait, Leo, I'm just curious. How much is those 3 copies worth if you were to sell them?
If I the Ted Cord run from 86 to 88, they're probably only worth like maybe $5 or $6 an issue, something like that. They're not really in high demand, but yeah, I certainly could. I do own 2 of the Steve Ditko issues from the 60s, so 65. I own issue 2 and issue 5. Those are worth a little bit more. Issue 2, especially, I paid out the ass for. So,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I love Ted Cord.
The only reason why I asked because I have a few comic books of Static Shock that were signed by Dwayne McDuffie, and I recently got them appraised, and I was actually kind of surprised that they're only worth like about $100. I was like, wow.
They are now, but
yeah.
You might wait a while
until we get that movie and more merch. Who knows?
You're right. Who knows?
Well, that's. I do want to end by saying that. To your point, Alex, about like maybe Blue Beetle is sort of a stretch for a movie to make. I do think that them making this movie opens the door for making movies like Static or any of the Milestone characters.
I hope so.
I genuinely do. I mean, not only that, but just like it's rich coming from the one white dude here, but like representation does matter. I do genuinely believe that, and like getting to see this movie, getting to experience a completely different superhero dynamic, getting to experience a completely different culture being brought to superheroes and being pulled from the comic books, regardless of the fact that Jaime was created by all white people. But they tried.
They were trying.
And
fun fact, Black Panther was created by white people too. So
yeah, exactly. And has been has been a good stepping stone for getting more representation. So I really hope that like this movie, whether it does well or not, at least opens that door for getting to see stuff like Static Shock, more Milestone characters. I'd love to see Rocket show up in a movie. That would be awesome.
Oh,
like, she's like one of my favorite characters. I would love to see her show up.
Oh, Rocket and Icon. Oh god,
yeah, that'd be incredible.
I want to see Icon fight Superman. That'd be dope.
That would be dope. But we might. I mean, James Gunn at least seems more like he is actually a fan of comic books. Than any of the previous regime. So I'm hoping he's more willing to dig. I mean, and we've already seen that he is doing. Was it the Creature Commandos? Like he's far more willing to dig to the bottom of that long box and pull out a random issue and be like, we're doing these characters. So I'm really hoping that opens the door for stuff like that. And that's just how I wanted to end that. So it's been great talking to all you guys. And you guys have a great evening.
You too.
You well.
See you, man.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, James Gunn. I'm still excited. I will say when they did those Superman, I didn't do a video on it, and I know I've been talking about Justice League and him casting the Justice League. I will full-heartedly admit those casting choices he came with for those random characters, I won't really fill in most of them. I really won't. Except for Homie as Metamorpho. I'm cool with that one. But the others, I was like,
Nathan, you didn't like Nathan Fillion? I mean, they've been trying to get Nathan Fillion. They've been trying to get him to play Green Lantern for years.
Yeah, they've been trying to get him to play Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, that fucking Guy Gardner. So this is just kind of like a whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I love Nathan Fillion, don't get me wrong, but they could have did better. The guy that they got to play Mr. Terrific, sure, I guess they could have did better. I would have got Sterling K. Brown. I'm just saying, I would have chose Sterling K. Brown. That's just me.
That's if he wanted to play that, though. You got to Sterling K. Brown kind of up there.
Yeah, he ain't turning down no checks. What are you talking about? Sterling K. Brown ain't turning down no checks.
You're right. He ain't turning down no checks.
That brother ain't turning down no checks. Come on now. The girl that they got to play Hawk Girl, sure. I don't like that Hawk Girl is like 22 and she's like 5'5", no, 5'0". I don't know why we did that, but okay, James, you got it. I'm just saying they could have did better with the choices. I'm still looking forward to the Superman movie. I like his choice for Superman. The choice for Lois Lane is fine. I can't wait to see who's playing Lex. But you know, James Gunn does great movies. He has a great track record, so I'm not worried about him doing Superman. I'm now more worried about just him managing everything else, and if Warner Brothers is going to give him time to grow and let him reestablish the brand, because that's the problem with DC now, is their brand is tarnished because they keep changing shit, they keep doing shit. We got 2 different Batman movies coming out. We got, we had one movie with 2 different Batmen in the same movie, and people were confused about what's happening. We had Clooney at the end of The Flash, and people were like, is he the new Batman? Shit like that. It's like shit like
technically
that.
Technically, it was 3 Batman.
Clooney. Well, yeah, technically 3,
yeah.
Yeah, and Adam West and whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Fucking movie. Anyway, so Warner Brothers is weird, but as we've been saying, I do think Blue Beetle, I don't know if he's getting a sequel, but I do think Blue Beetle's gonna pop up in the Booster Gold show. Although I didn't say Crit, I didn't get your thoughts. What are you thinking about James Gunn's handling of all of this so far?
I think it's like right now with the leftover DC films, it's going to be a bumpy road. But as soon as James Gunn drops his movie, we're going to be on him like ticks on the dog. We're going to be like, he's the Antichrist because he can't do nothing wrong until somebody puts him down. So I think it's just we're worrying about stuff like, behind the scenes. And I think the fans are worrying about more than they need to. But when he drops that first film and it's on point, because he hasn't failed yet. You know what I mean? So
he's been dropping bangers. So that's the thing. Especially at the Guardians 3. I was like, okay. Yeah, I'm less worried about his movies, but it's like hopefully he can just manage everything to the best of his abilities.
The Christmas special. Come on.
Yeah, that was good.
Nobody hated on the Christmas special.
Yeah, the Christmas special was dope.
So I think he's good.
I agree. So I really wanted Alex. I really wanted Ian on here because I know Ian was talking shit about Blue Beetle. I really wanted Ian on here, but he couldn't make it. I really wanted to go back and forth with him because he had messaged me. We both saw the movie yesterday. He was like, "Yeah, I saw Blue Beetle. It was generic." I was like, "This motherfucker right here." If I could have sent a hand through the screen, I would have. I was like, "Stop hating," but no.
You talking about
Ian.
Cuba?
No, Ian.
Ian. Oh yeah, Ian. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. I haven't talked to him about it, but
yeah, he had messaged me yesterday because I asked him to come on. He was gonna be busy. He was like, "Yeah, I saw it. It was generic." I was like, "God damn it!" Yeah, I wasn't sparring back and forth with him.
I think to his credit, I don't remember correctly, so I don't want to speak for him, but I don't know if he was excited for it. I don't think he was.
Right.
But I don't think he was. But I know that Ian sees these movies before we do, so I'm curious that he actually thought it was generic. So.
Yeah, but I think he was just talking. I think he low key loved the movie. He just didn't want to tell me that. I think that's what
I kind of see where he's coming from. Not fully, but I think maybe the antidote that they use has been used so many times to where that's where you feel that way.
Yeah, I get that I get. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably what he was talking about. But no, I mean, like I said, it is standard stuff. Like we've seen this before. It's standard stuff. Like I said, what's his name? Carper Max is, he's Ironmonger. It's like we've seen this stuff. It's an Iron Man sort of vibe to the film. But like that's gonna happen with comic books because so many of these characters are similar to other characters. So that's bound to happen at a certain point. But I thought they did enough to make it feel unique enough, overall as a film. And and we didn't do grades. Alex, what would you give Blue Beetle as a grade?
Oh, okay. Did you also want me to give my perspective of James Gunn afterwards, or just the grade?
Oh, did you? I thought you were. My bad. Damn it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad. I forgot you didn't say your thoughts. Yeah, talk about James Gunn. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine.
That's a real juicy topic. You can't skip over that one.
Yeah, my bad. I thought I let him. My bad. I forgot. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
You see how he do? He let that white dude go.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Then he let Cobra go. But you forget the most important dude on the damn screen. Oh, okay. I see what he's trying to do.
Hey, the white man has somewhere to be. I ain't want to miss so much time, all right? God damn.
Man. That's that shit I be talking about, bro. Okay. Shout out to that dude. He was a really dope commentator.
Shout out Brandon.
So I will say though, after hearing what he said though, I see where he's coming from because Warner Brothers does want to like save money and like they do tend to take over certain things where they're not going a certain way. However, I would disagree only because Zaslav has been very candid about making sure that Peter Safran and James Gunn, this is their DCEU, and they're doing whatever they want to do. And the only reason why I would say the reason why Zaslav is probably not going to be as hands-on, think about what they announced. Their first phase, or part of their first phase, is called Gods and Monsters. So they're introducing like the Authority. If anybody's ever read the Authority, they're essentially supervillains to an extent, and when I say they go hard on political issues, they go hard. I mean, these are people who would convict Donald Trump and put him in jail. That's how hard they go. So what I'm saying is like, I think James Gunn is going to have a little bit more freedom. Well, my criticism with James Gunn and Peter Safran is don't give Superman Legacy a $200 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
I think their problem I think Hollywood's problem in general has been spending, but I think their problem with certain movies has been spending. Listen, we already seen a Superman fly and use his superpowers on TV and movies. If you change the camera aspect ratios, it's not that much different. I bring that up to say you don't need to spend $200 million and $100 million is on special effects. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think because like when I look at like the Mandalorian as a show is like I think $150 million budget for 9 episodes. Okay, with that kind of money, they could have just shot a movie. Instead of putting it on Disney Plus.
And making no money.
My thing is take that same budget or let's cut it down to like maybe 100 million or 110 million, and you're already using low level actors that we don't really know much about already. The actor that you have that has somewhat of a name to him is Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion,
so
Nathan Fillion as a cameo.
You're not going to give him more than
you're going to give. He's a TV actor for the most part.
Exactly. You're not going to give him more money than you're going to give the actual guy who's playing Superman. So you can condense this movie and start this movie and set up this James Gunn's DCEU right if you do it correctly, if it's a good movie, and if it's not of a big of a budget. I have faith in Gunn because, like I said, all of his MCU movies are great. All 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies are great.
Yes.
And the Christmas special was great. What James Gunn was able to do with Suicide Squad and Peacemaker is great. That's James Gunn. Everything that we've seen up until this point, from Black Adam to The Flash to Blue Beetle, that has nothing to do with James Gunn. Those movies were going to come out regardless if he got hired at DC or not, because they were slated to come out.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will say this. I think James Gunn, and I'm glad it's 2 of them and it's not just him, because we're seeing the domino effect with Marvel, what's going on with Phase 4 and Phase 5. I'm glad there's 2 of them, because now there's 2 people to hold each other accountable about how we're going to narratively tell this story. And I think tell this story of how they're launching their DCE or their DCU. And they've been very clear that the Elseworld stuff is essentially going to be the Batman, which is Matt Reeves' movie, and they said they're going to do a Black Superman movie, but we'll see. I doubt that's going to happen. But
I don't think that's necessary. I don't know why they keep talking about that.
To the guy's point who was here about this opens the door for possibly a Static Shock and other movies. I do believe that James Gunn is definitely going to tell different stories, but they announced a Static Shock movie back in 2020 during the pandemic. It's been 3 years. They ended their comic book run with their relaunch of Static and the new Milestone characters. Static ain't coming to the screen anytime soon. At least I don't believe so, because as someone who is a Static fan, we would have gotten more development. I mean, DC bought Milestone to explore those characters. we have not seen any form of exploration other than comic books. Other than comic books, no other form of media. So my hope is that one day we will get it, but unfortunately, I don't believe we are going to get it. And like I said, even with Blue Beetle, this particular Blue Beetle, I'm glad we got the movie. But him being incorporated into the DCU, he's going to be more of a side character, playing upon the other characters in James Gunn's DCU. So
yeah, and I'm not mad at that if he is a side character, but I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, and I think that that's okay too. But me personally, I think James Gunn's DCU is exactly what the fans need. It's a great conversation start. It's going to be a great conversation starter if the first movie, Superman Legacy, is good. Now, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot riding on this. If this movie does not do well, fuck the DCU.
Yeah, it's a wrap. You're right about that. It's a wrap after that.
It's a wrap. You might as well just you might as well just stick to Elseworlds and tell those wild stories that are not connecting, like Joker and that bullshit, which I still think is good movies. But if Superman Legacy does not launch this cinematic universe the right way, you might as well just cancel your plans. That's just how I feel about it. Now, to their point, I do think though, in order for them to be successful, they have to completely reboot it. So what I mean by that, no Gal Gadot. I've heard that Ezra's not coming back, so I firmly believe he's not coming back. Yeah. I love Jason Momoa. Don't bring him back. Nobody from the old DCEU should come back at all. There should be no mention of them. The only person that has the right to come back is Jaime. That's it. But as far as everybody else,
he said he's gonna bring them back, so we'll see how that.
Exactly. So that's my thoughts on it. But to give it a rating for this movie, it's definitely not better than Spider-Verse. I'm not gonna lie, I love the Turtles. Oh my god.
Okay, see, I haven't seen that yet. I want to see that.
That movie is fucking hilarious. If you've ever seen Arcane, it's like Arcane mixed with Spider-Verse. It's really cool.
Oh, okay. Arcane's dope.
Yeah, Arcane is so dope.
Yeah.
So like I would say it's not better than Turtles, but it is the best DCU movie we got. So I would give it like a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay. 3.5 out of 5. Chris, how would you grade Blue Beetle?
How would I grade Blue Beetle? I would give, with your rating, I would give it a C+. My rating, I would give it 7 scarabs.
Okay. C+. 7 scarabs. Yeah, I'm going. I'd give it a solid B. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It's a solid B. Okay. I enjoyed it, but yeah. It's I'm probably on the higher end, but I'd give it a B because I appreciated a lot of different things, and it was fun to see this character brought to realization. And there's still much more to do with his character, like the whole alien stuff. They didn't really get into that, so and that's a big storyline, like from Young Justice, the Reach, alien possession stuff. So that's stuff they can do with this character if they keep it around. That could be like a whole plot line in like the Booster Gold show. You never know what So like what they did with Peacemaker. Derpy says he'd give it a B. Yeah, B. Yeah. That's reasonable, and I'm pretty sure Wally would give it an infinity out of everything. So we know where he stands. But Go ahead.
I think it would be cool if they did have its own little section where it's Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, Jaime, Booster Gold, and they have their own adventures, like their own villains are strictly to them. You know what I mean? Where they're too busy,
I could see that.
Yeah, where they're too busy to deal with anything else, and everybody else feel that situation may be a little bit too small, and they feel that they got it. Ted Cord can do the investigation, and which that can help out Jaime. You know what I'm saying? Booster Gold just being the way for comic relief and making things worse. You know what I'm saying? That they could just be their little sector. You know what I mean? I would definitely watch that.
I would too. And it's funny, we were talking earlier, like, my criticism, I think they should have if they would have started off this movie with Ted Cord in the suit and showing the origin of where how the Blue Beetle started in that way, I think more people would
have been cool.
Talk to it. I think
that would have been
cool. Better.
That definitely would have been cool. I thought we was going to get that, like maybe never see, like really see his face, where you would have seen just someone running around in the suit. I kind of thought we was going to get something like that, but we didn't. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's it for the live spoiler review of Blue Beetle. You people, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe. Critical. Oh, is this it? Yes. Come on. Yeah. Let the people know. Oh, damn it. Let the people know where they. Yeah, there we go. Let the people know where they can find you, man.
Yes, sir. You can find me on YouTube at Criticals Blue Reviews. If you want to check me out on social media, I will be on Instagram and Twitter at Critical Blue Reviews.
All right. And Alex, thanks for showing up, man. Let the people know. Man. Let the people know where they can find you, bro.
You guys can find me at Momentum Media. If you type in Momentum Media on YouTube, I am the first channel that pops up. You definitely want to tune in tomorrow. I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
But everyone who's watching, including you guys who are on the panel, tune in tomorrow. I have a special video coming out that y'all are going to love. Stay tuned for my next upcoming show called Marvel Movie Trivia. We actually started shooting for that last week. So
okay.
I'm still putting that together, so I'm still gonna ask Brogi and Critical to be a part of that too. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's everything's coming together. But definitely tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow is gonna be a dope show. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
All right. And
BrogiNaric. What time?
What time?
Huh?
What time?
Oh, it's gonna be hold on. Oh, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Florida time. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Be looking forward to that. And I'm BrogiNaric. Thanks for watching. We'll try to put some more content here on the channel. I've been busy, been working on other stuff, but you know, this channel's not dead if you're worried about it. Got some other videos. Like I said, there was a bunch of shit. I was thinking about doing Secret Invasion stream, and then I didn't have the time, and also the show just wasn't that great. I was pulling for it, but by the end of it, I was like, yeah, this ain't.
You know what's funny? Real quick before you end, I said, I bet you Brogi loves this show.
That was okay. You know, I was kind of okay with it. You know, I was hanging in there.
I was the same person who loves Hawkeye. I'm like, what the fuck?
No. I was kind of hanging in there with it, and then it kept going, and then I was like, all right, y'all kind of losing me. And then that finale was like, oh, that was lame as shit. Like, yeah. I like how the ending with like the people going crazy and shooting the aliens. I'm like, that's cool, but everything else, like the fight and
but it's such a contradiction. Like we don't know how long like Don Cheadle's character Rhodey
has been a Skrull. Yeah,
been a Skrull, and that dude from Black Panther, the white guy.
Well, yeah, he seemed fairly recent, but they didn't explain nothing. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Exactly.
Fuck am I supposed to care? So that was
Nick Fury said, "Fuck y'all, I'm going home."
Yeah, he said, "I'm going home with my wife." Kinda.
He don't tell nobody they about to be hunted. He just goes home.
Just go home.
A wife that he hasn't slept with in years.
Yeah, like deuces. We out. Like what the fuck? Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. Just for him to be in the Marvels to act like ain't shit happened. But anyway, Lord Jesus. Yeah, MCU's kind of, I don't know, man. It's kind of rough. Hopefully the Marvels won't suck. But anyway, well, yeah, that's it. Check me out on YouTube, Instagram, X, or whatever the hell they calling it now, and TikTok. Yeah, and we'll be back in another one. But thanks for watching, and peace.
Deuces.
And let me end the